Do you ever catch yourself replaying the same stories about your time and wonder why the younger folks around you start glazing over, nodding politely, but never really listening? You poured your heart into building a life raising kids, working your tail off and sacrificing so much, and now it stings when the grandkids roll their eyes at how things used to be or tune out when you start comparing today's music, jobs, or manners to some golden era you remember. When you open every conversation with "back in my day" or "when I was your age," you're not just sharing memories, you're telling them their world doesn't matter. They feel judged, dismissed, and it builds a wall between you faster than a blink of an eye. They'd rather scroll on their phones than argue about how life was simpler in 1965, because every time you praise the past and criticize the present, you push them further away and deepen that bitter gap. And it's not their fault. It's human nature to protect your own experience, so they shut down rather than face the implication that their struggles are somehow less valid. On top of that, demanding respect purely because you've lived longer, insisting on being called sir or ma'am, correcting everyone's manners, lecturing about courtesy without ever asking about their worries or dreams only makes you seem out of touch. You remember a world where respect was automatic, but today genuine respect is earned through mutual interest, listening, and caring. When you interrupt your daughter's story to point out her grammar, or you lecture your son about kids these days without first asking how his job is going, they learn that you're not truly interested in them, only in hearing your own voice. That one-sided demand for deference feels hollow, and instead of drawing people closer, it pushes them away. They see you as self-important, stuck on an outdated idea that age alone grants authority. And before long, they avoid sharing anything meaningful because they know you'll only judge, not understand. These two forces, making everything about your time and expecting respect without giving it back, create the perfect storm of resentment. But in part 2, we'll tackle the third strike: how turning love into a guilt trip drives everyone further from you. Stay tuned, because once you see how these patterns work, you can change them and watch those walls come down. But there's one more silent force pushing younger folks away, one that cuts deeper than any curt remark or eye roll, and that's the guilt trip you lay on them every time you bring up what you did for them decades ago. You may think you're reminding them of your love, but they hear a ledger tallying every sacrifice you ever made. I skipped college to help pay your bill. I worked extra shifts so you could have braces. I sat by your hospital bed night after night, and on and on. You load their hearts with debt they can never repay. Imagine your daughter walking in after a long day at work, and before she can even hang up her coat, she hears, "I suppose you don't remember how tired I was when I was your age?" That one line sinks in like a weight around her neck. She wants to tell you about her promotion or her new hobby, but instead her shoulders tighten because she knows any good news will be met with the sigh about how you'd never got a break when you were her age. That's emotional quicksand. No matter how hard she tries to show you her love, she feels herself sinking under the burden of your reminders. Guilt breeds fear. Fear breeds avoidance. And before long, she's making every excuse to stay away. It's not that she doesn't care. It's that the love you seek comes with strings she cannot live with. To break this cycle, you need to change the narrative you've held onto for so long. Start by swapping "Remember when I did this for you?" with "I am so proud of what you're doing now." It may feel strange, almost wrong at first, to hold back your memories of sacrifice. But watch what happens when you replace your ancient IOUs with genuine curiosity and praise for their lives today. Instead of reciting your history of self-denial, ask, "Tell me about your day. How can I support you?" Or, "What makes you happy right now?" When you shift your words from tallying debts to celebrating their victories, you lighten their emotional load and invite them back into your world. You're no longer the judge weighing their worth against your past labor. You become the confidant, eager to hear their stories and cheer them on. With each sincere question and each heartfelt compliment, you rebuild the bridges you once burned with guilt. They begin to lean in instead of leaning away. Laughter returns, conversation flows freely, and visits become highlights rather than obligations. Over time, you'll find that neither you nor they are constantly measuring who owes what. Instead, you share moments that have nothing to do with past sacrifices and moments of joy, of quiet companionship, of mutual respect. And that, more than any lecture or long-ago history, is the gift you really want. Now, you might worry that if you stop reminding them of what you gave up, they'll forget how hard you worked to give them a good life. But here's the magic. When love is freely given, it doesn't vanish. It grows. A single visit where you listen without judgment, where you celebrate without a hidden agenda, is worth 10 guilt-laden phone calls. You'll feel lighter. They'll feel closer. And most importantly, you'll both remember why family is a blessing, not a burden. So begin today. The next time you're tempted to open with, "I did so much for you," stop and take a breath. Replace it with, "I want to know how I can help you now." Or, "What's the best thing that happened to you this week?" Notice the relief in their faces, the spark in their eyes, the warmth in their voice. That's your new legacy, not the debt you carried for 30 years, but the love you choose to share freely day after day. Because at 70 and beyond, you've earned the right to sit back, relax, and enjoy the people you raised without weighing them down with your sacrifice. Break the guilt habit now and rediscover the pure joy of being with your kids and grandkids. That is the end of the story they'll cherish and the only history that truly matters. Watch the videos on screen